I knew a man who saved for 41 years, never bought the flashy truck, never took the trip his wife kept circling in the brochure. And when he passed, at 79, he had more money in the bank than the day he quit working. Folks call that a success. But here's the part nobody said out loud at the funeral. He never spent hardly a dime of it. He won the game somebody told him to play, and lost the thing he was really playing for. I've seen it happen more than once. There's a regret that comes up when folks get near the end, and it isn't running out of money. Stay with me a few minutes, and I'll tell you what it is. Because money is really just stored up life. The trick is spending it back into living at the right time. For most of us, the plan was handed down before we were old enough to question it. Work hard, spend little, defer the living until later. Retire at 65, and somewhere past that line, finally relax. It's so familiar it feels like a law of nature. It isn't. It's an invention, and a fairly recent one. It was built for a world that mostly doesn't exist anymore. A world of company pensions that paid you to stop. Of shorter lives where later was a few quiet years, not a few quiet decades. In that world, the math made sense. You sprinted, you stopped, you rested, and the timing roughly worked. But three things changed quietly underneath us. Pensions disappeared, and the whole risk of outliving your money got handed to you. Lives got longer, so later stretched into 20, 30 years. And the years that got added were rarely the strong ones. They were added to the oldest, slowest, most fragile part of life. So we kept following a map drawn for a country that's been redrawn. We still defer. We still wait for later. We just never got told that later costs more than it used to and buys less. Here's the mechanism, the part that does the quiet damage. We treat money as the thing that compounds, and it does. Leave it alone, and it grows. So the discipline of leaving it alone gets rewarded year after year, and that reward trains a habit. Don't touch it. Let it grow someday. But there's a second currency running alongside the money, and it moves the other way. Call it energy, health, mobility, the simple physical ability to do the things money is supposed to buy. That currency doesn't compound. It depreciates. Slowly at first, then not slowly. The hike you could do at 40 is a different hike at 60, and impossible at 75. So you end up with two curves crossing. Your money is climbing toward its peak right as your ability to use it slides away from its own. By the time the account is finally enough, the body that was supposed to enjoy it has quietly spent down its half of the deal. And experiences carry their own interest. A trip you take at 35 isn't just a trip. It's 40 years of remembering it, retelling it, being shaped by it. Wait until 75 to take the same trip, and you get the trip, but you've forfeited 4 decades of that dividend. The deferral didn't just delay the reward, it shrank it. Now here's where it gets genuinely surprising. You'd assume the big retirement mistake is overspending, blowing it too early and ending up broke. The pattern in the data is the opposite. Study after study of actual retirees finds the dominant behavior isn't overspending. It's underspending. People reach retirement with a number they spent decades building, and then they can't bring themselves to touch it. They live far below what they've saved. A large share die with most of it still sitting there, not because they planned to leave it, but because spending it felt like bleeding out. That fear has a real root. The terror of outliving your money is legitimate. Nobody wants to be dependent and broke at 85. But the fear is miscalibrated. It's tuned so high that it doesn't just prevent disaster, It prevents living. And yet, this is the trap on the other side. You can't just flip it and spend freely either, because a handful of mistakes really will erase a lifetime of saving overnight. One health emergency with no buffer, one stretch of high-interest debt, one scam aimed squarely at someone older and trusting. So the real answer isn't save harder. And it isn't spend it while you can. It's both, sequenced correctly, and almost nobody is taught the sequence. So here's the sequence. 5 rules. Think of them less as a budget and more as a way of matching your money to the seasons of your life. First, protect the floor before you do anything else. A boring cash buffer, several months of living costs sitting somewhere dull and safe. This isn't the exciting part, but it's the part that means one bad month can't undo 20 good years. Build the floor, then build on it. Second, kill the things that quietly eat everything. High-interest debt, catastrophic risk you can't self-fund, the health event, the disability, the disaster. You don't insure the small stuff. You insure the stuff that ends the story. And you stay alert to fraud because the people who target the old are patient and professional. Third, and almost no one gives you permission to do this, spend deliberately in your strong decades. Some experiences are worth more at 35 than the same dollars will ever be worth at 75. Not recklessly, deliberately. Fund the someday list now in small, intentional doses. Instead of stacking all of it behind a finish line you might reach tired. Fourth, give the number a job. Money with no purpose just becomes a high score you're afraid to lower. Decide what it's actually for, which years, which people, which experiences, so spending it feels like aiming, not bleeding. Fifth, give with a warm hand, not a cold one. If you plan to help your kids, or a cause, or a friend, help while you're alive to see it land. The same gift does more good earlier, and you get the one thing a will can never give you: watching it matter. So let me leave you with this. The goal was never to die rich, and it sure wasn't to die broke. It's to get to the end carrying as little regret as you can, and regret doesn't get measured in dollars. It's measured in the trips you didn't take, the help you didn't give, the good, strong years you traded for a number you never touched. Money is just stored life. The skill is spending it back into living at the right time. That man who saved for 41 years didn't fail at saving. He failed at the harder part, letting the money turn back into a life. If there's somebody younger in your life, pass this along to them. And if you'd tell your 35-year-old self one thing about money and time, leave it down in the comments. Somebody 10 years behind you needs to hear it. I put the sources below. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.